Hi everyone, I'm Nathan with the ebookreader.com. For this video, I'm going to give you guys a review of the InkBook Classic 2. This is the latest entry-level e-reader from Artitech, an e-reader company based in Poland. So it's got a 6-inch ink screen. It's got an 800 by 600 resolution screen. We've got a memory card slot down here on the bottom with the USB port. And then on the back, it's got this sort of contour design. It sort of has a soft texture to it, and it's rather thin and comfortable to hold. And we've got the power button up here in the top corner, and then it's got the two side buttons on each side of the screen, and they do work well for turning the pages. You can also program them for other tasks in the settings menu. And then we've also got that back button below the screen, and it also shows like green when you're charging it and red when it's charging. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the software setup on this device. It runs Android 4.2.2. It can install Android apps. You've got like a list of apps you can over here on your app drawer, and then you can also install some different apps, but you have to have Wi-Fi turned on. Let's go ahead and clear these notifications. It adds these error notifications with CSS errors for certain ebooks. It gets kind of annoying, but if we turn on Wi-Fi, we can go ahead and open up the InkBook App Store. It's not really much of an app store. It only has like 10 apps. It just has some e-reading based apps, obviously, since it's an e-reader. So we've got some different e-reading apps you can install from here, like the Kindle app. It's got the Kobo app, which I'll show both of those here shortly. I already uploaded a separate video for Kindle as well if you wanted to go in depth with the Kindle app and know how to set up the buttons. See these buttons on the right, they're programmed for volume, because a number of these apps need to have the volume buttons for turning pages, and you can set it up that way. So that's how I have it set up with the Kindle and Kobo apps, because they can use the page buttons. And there's also a built-in ebook store on here, the Artitech's ebook store, but it is a Polish ebook store. So for those of you in the English, like in the US here, you're not going to be able to make use of this store, because it's definitely Polish based and in Polish dollars and not in English. So alright, so let's go ahead and I'll show you one of these apps. This is the Kobo app. It installs, and first couple times I tried to install it, it actually wouldn't install. It just give an error message, but then it did install, and it does work. It does take a bit of patience with these apps to start up the first try. They're not then once they're in their memory, they do load a bit quicker, but it does take a bit of patience. So the Kobo app, it works all right, and like I said, you can set up the page buttons here to turn pages using the volume. You got to go set that up in settings. And then so the text, it doesn't really look that great in the Kobo app. I mean, it is usable, but it kind of has sort of a gray, sort of a washed out look to it. It's not like as dark as it is on the regular ebook app, and you don't really have any font choices hardly at all. You just got a couple of font choices and a couple of font sizes, so you don't have hardly any adjusting options like you do on the Kobo e-readers. You got a ton of different font sizes and font adjusting options, but they don't have that option on their Android app. So Kindle app, it works as well. Like I said, it does take a little bit patience to load it the first time here. But yeah, once you get it loaded, the pages do work well, and you can use the buttons to turn the pages, and the text looks pretty good. It doesn't quite look as gray as it did on the Kobo app for whatever reason. It looks a little bit better than it did in the Kobo app. So you can adjust the font size and font. There's more different font types in here as well, and you got the line spacing, the usual margin settings and stuff like that. So yeah, this app, it works pretty well. As you can see, the text doesn't quite look as faded as it did in the Kobo app for whatever reason. It looks pretty good actually, and as you page forward, it looks good enough to use. Sometimes with Android e-readers they get too washed out, but it does work pretty well with these InkBooks, the InkBook Classic and the InkBook Prime. So one of the main differences between the InkBook Classic here, it has the 6-inch ink screen, but it doesn't have a front light. So the InkBook Prime, it has a front light. So if I turn off this light right here, you can kind of see what it looks like in just the regular room without a light right on it. So it's not quite as good contrast. The background's a little bit more darker than you're going to get with a front lit e-reader. So that's just something to keep in mind, because I really personally highly recommend front lit e-readers. I can't really use these kind anymore because I'm so used to front lights. It really just adds a whole another level of contrast by making the background appear wider. But I mean, you can easily read this. It does have the lower resolution screen, but to me the text doesn't look bad. I mean, they've got to optimize for this screen, and it looks all right. I mean, it doesn't look too like rough around the edges or anything like that. So this is the default reading app. It supports EPUB and a variety of formats, as well as Adobe DRM and PDF. So we've got some different font choices in here. And then we've got, some different font sizes like usual. And then on the second page, we've got some advanced options. So you can customize the margins. You can customize the line spacing. And then it also has this contrast mode where you can invert the colors to white text with a black background. I'll show that in a second. So here's just the regular text look. So like I said with the screen, it does look fine. I mean, I don't have any problem with the text, even with the low resolution screen here. So, but it is a little bit more faded at lower pixel or lower font sizes. So let's go ahead and switch it over. It also has landscape mode. So let's go over to landscape mode with this high contrast mode where you have the white text on the black background. This does work pretty well. So a lot of e-readers, when you start turning pages, if you're using a mode like this, you'll get a lot of ghosting and after images. But it works quite well. As you can see, the black is really black. There's no white in there. It works quite well. So let's talk about some of the ebook features. If you hold down on a word, you got the usual notes, highlights. You can add text notes to your highlights. And we've also got, if you hold down on a word, you can also get the definition. But currently, the English dictionary doesn't offer definitions. It's just a translation. There's only the 2 dictionaries at present. I guess they're adding more. You can also search the web for words you select on here. So it has the built-in Android web browser, and I mean, Android or web browsers and Ink are a great combo, but it does work pretty well because I like how they have the scrolling set up with these page buttons right here, because that's always kind of one of the more awkward tasks with Ink is the page refresh and the scrolling. And they've got it so that it automatically goes into partial refresh mode when you scroll. You've got an option for different tabs here, and the the Android settings options over here. Incognito tabs, history, that kind of thing. So yeah, the web browser works all right. I mean, like Ink, and it's always going to be a little bit slower than like a tablet or phone, but I mean, it does work. The contrast isn't quite great all the time, but I mean, the web browser is an option that you can use on these devices. Makes them a little bit more versatile. So let's talk about some of the other ebook features here. If we tap right here, you can add and remove bookmarks. We've also got the table of contents over here. One kind of weird thing about it is it always pops up the keyboard to that search icon right there. You have to hit the back button to remove that, and then you can move around the table of contents because otherwise those arrows are hidden. So we can jump around that way, and we've also got the notes section over here. All your notes and highlights and stuff like that are added on that second page of the table of contents. So then we can run searches from up here as well. And then it will give you a list of the results, and you can jump back and forth between the different results. So the searching does work pretty well. If you go to one instance, then you can jump around to other instances. Jump back to the main list of results. So yeah, the search does work pretty well. All right, so this is the main home screen. Up here, you've got the refresh button if you need to refresh the screen for any point in time. And in the settings menu, we've got some different options in here. So like it has some different customizable options, so you can set like exactly what application shortcuts you want to appear on the home screen down there on that bottom bar. You can customize those 3 on the right side there, and then you can also change the buttons like I mentioned earlier. If you wanted to map some different functions to your buttons, then we've got some different options in here. So you can actually turn on and off the touch screen as one of the options. So if you just want to use the page buttons and avoid accidental presses, or you can set these ones to page up and page down so they work with the Kindle and Kobo apps for turning pages. So it shows Bluetooth on here, but this device, it actually doesn't have Bluetooth. The InkBook Prime does, but this one does not. And then we've got some different customizable settings in here. You got like the screen refresh times. You can set how or like what time you want the screen to time out and stuff like that. So as far as storage, this one has a pretty limited amount of storage space. It's only got 4 internal, but that only leaves about 1.85 usable. So it definitely helps to have a microsd card slot. And then you can install some apps as well. It doesn't have a whole lot of room to install apps, but you've got enough room to install a few apps. It does work well for that. And then we've also got some different languages supported. So it supports several languages, as you can see right here. Not just English and Polish, it supports several. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this review right here. Check out the ebookreader.com for the full written review and some additional information and reviews. Like I said, I already posted a review of the Kindle app in action. I also posted a review of the InkBook Prime. If you're more interested in a frontlit e-reader with a higher resolution screen, then I'd check out the InkBook Prime if I were you. It has the exact same software as this, but with some hardware upgrades. So thank you guys for watching, and check out the ebookreader.com, and y'all have a good day.